Welcome to English via AI. Imagine a young king on a powerful horse. He is only 20 years old. Before him stands the largest empire on earth. He plans to conquer it all. Most people think this dream is impossible, but this young man fears almost nothing. In just a few short years, he will change the world. His name will echo through history forever. This is the story of Alexander the Great. Alexander was born in the year 356 BCE. He was born in the ancient kingdom of Macedonia. Macedonia was a land in northern Greece. It was strong, proud, and full of warriors. His father was a powerful king named Philip. King Philip II ruled Macedonia with great skill. His mother was a strong-willed queen named Olympias. She was clever, bold, and deeply protective. From his birth, people expected great things. Many stories grew around the young prince. Some said he was born for greatness. Others believed he was touched by the gods. Alexander grew up in a royal palace. He was trained to become a future king. He learned about war, power, and leadership. He was raised to rule a mighty kingdom. From his earliest days, his destiny seemed clear. Alexander was born to be a legend. As a boy, Alexander was brave and clever. He learned quickly and loved a challenge. He was strong, fast, and full of energy. He excelled at running, riding, and fighting. Alexander dreamed of glory from a young age. He wanted to be a great hero. He loved stories of ancient heroes and battles. His favorite was the great warrior Achilles. He carried these heroic stories in his heart. He wanted to match their courage and fame. Alexander was also very curious and smart. He wanted to understand the whole world. His father knew his son was special. He wanted the best education for the prince. So the king found a very wise teacher. This teacher would shape Alexander's brilliant mind. The young prince was ready to learn. His great education was about to begin. King Philip chose a truly great teacher. His name was Aristotle. Aristotle was one of history's greatest thinkers. He was a brilliant Greek philosopher. He taught Alexander about many important subjects. He shared knowledge of science and nature. He also taught him about history and poetry. He filled the prince's mind with ideas. Aristotle taught Alexander to think deeply. He helped him understand the world around him. This education shaped Alexander for life. It made him both a warrior and a thinker. Alexander loved learning from the wise teacher. He respected Aristotle greatly. He even carried books with him into battle. He never stopped loving knowledge. This rare mix of mind and courage was special. It helped make Alexander truly great. One day, a wild horse was brought to the king. The horse was huge, black, and powerful. But the horse was too wild to ride. No one could control the fierce animal. The king was ready to send it away. The horse seemed impossible to tame. But young Alexander watched very carefully. He noticed something no one else had seen. The horse was afraid of its own shadow. This fear made the animal wild. So Alexander turned the horse toward the sun. Now it could not see its shadow. Slowly, the horse became calm and still. Then Alexander gently climbed onto its back. He rode the wild horse with ease. Everyone watched in complete amazement. Alexander named the horse Bucephalus. It would carry him through many great battles. Alexander's life changed suddenly and sharply. His father, King Philip, was killed. Philip was murdered at a great celebration. His death shocked the whole kingdom. Suddenly, Alexander became the new king. He was only 20 years old. Ruling a kingdom was a huge responsibility. Many enemies wanted to test the young king. Some people thought he was too young. They believed he was weak and inexperienced. But Alexander proved them all wrong. He was strong, bold, and very determined. He quickly took firm control of his kingdom. He crushed any rebellions against him. He showed everyone that he was a true leader. He would not be an easy target. The young king was ready for greatness. His incredible journey was about to begin. Alexander had a huge and daring dream. He wanted to conquer the mighty Persian Empire. Persia was the largest empire in the world. It was rich, powerful, and enormous. For years, Persia had been an enemy of Greece. Alexander wanted to defeat this great foe. Many thought this dream was impossible. Persia had a massive and powerful army, but Alexander believed in himself completely. He was not afraid of the huge challenge. He gathered a strong and loyal army. His soldiers were well trained and brave. In 334 BCE, he began his great journey. He led his army across the sea into Asia. He was leaving his homeland behind. He might never return home again. The great conquest had finally begun. The world would soon change forever. Alexander soon met the Persian army in battle. It was his first great test. The battle took place near a river. Both armies were ready to fight. Alexander led his soldiers with great courage. He charged bravely into the enemy. He fought at the very front of his army. He shared every danger with his men. His bold leadership inspired his soldiers. They fought with amazing bravery. Alexander won a great and important victory. He defeated the Persian forces. This first win filled his army with hope. They believed they could win it all. News of his victory spread across the land. People began to fear the young king. Alexander had proven his incredible skill. His legend was beginning to grow. Alexander came to an ancient city. There he found a famous puzzle. It was a giant knot tied to a cart. The knot was incredibly complex. An old legend surrounded this special knot. It said that whoever untied it would rule Asia. Many people had tried to untie it, but no one had ever succeeded. Alexander looked closely at the difficult knot. He could not find the ends to loosen it. So he thought about the problem differently. He came up with a bold solution. He pulled out his sharp sword. Then he simply cut the knot in half. The impossible knot was now undone. Alexander had solved it his own way. This clever act became a famous legend. It showed his bold and creative mind. Alexander marched deeper into the Persian Empire. He was heading toward the Persian king. The Persian king was named Darius III. He ruled the vast empire. Darius gathered a truly enormous army. His forces greatly outnumbered Alexander's men. The two armies met in a mighty battle. The fight was fierce and terrible. Alexander used clever and daring tactics. He was a brilliant military leader. He aimed his attack straight at King Darius. He wanted to break the enemy's spirit. The plan worked, and Darius fled the field. The great Persian king ran away in fear. Alexander won another stunning victory. His enemy had been defeated. The young king was now unstoppable. His power grew greater every day. As Alexander conquered new lands, he built cities. He founded many new towns. He named many of these cities after himself. They were all called Alexandria. The most famous one was in Egypt. It became a great and wealthy city. This city grew into a center of learning. Scholars came from all around the world. It held one of the ancient world's greatest libraries. The library held countless precious books. The city also had the famous Great Lighthouse. It guided ships into the busy harbor. Alexandria lasted for thousands of years. It became one of history's greatest cities. Alexander's name lived on through this city. It was a lasting part of his legacy. He was not only a warrior, but a builder. He created cities that shaped the future. Alexander continued to chase King Darius. He wanted to end the Persian Empire. Darius kept running from the young conqueror. He could not defeat Alexander in battle. But tragedy struck the fleeing Persian king. His own men turned against him. They betrayed Darius and took him prisoner. Then they left him to die. Alexander found the fallen Persian king, but he was already close to death. Alexander was said to be saddened by this. He had wanted to defeat Darius honorably. He gave Darius a proper royal burial. He treated his old enemy with respect. Now Alexander controlled the Persian Empire. His greatest dream had come true. He had conquered the largest empire on earth. He was now the most powerful man alive. Alexander now ruled a huge empire. It stretched across many different lands. He controlled Greece, Egypt, and Persia. His power reached farther than ever before. Alexander wanted to unite all his people. He tried to blend different cultures together. He respected the customs of the conquered lands. He did not destroy their ways of life. He even wore some Persian royal clothing. This surprised many of his Greek soldiers. He encouraged his soldiers to marry Persian women. He wanted to join the two peoples. Some of his men did not like these changes. They wanted him to stay fully Greek. But Alexander had a grand vision. He dreamed of one united world. He wanted his empire to last forever. He hoped different peoples could live as one. Alexander was not satisfied with his empire. He wanted to conquer even more lands. He set his eyes on distant India. He wanted to reach the very edge of the world. So he led his army further east. They marched into unknown and dangerous lands. The journey was long and incredibly hard. The soldiers faced many new challenges. They crossed high mountains and wide rivers. They battled fierce and brave warriors. In India, Alexander faced a mighty king. This king had a huge army with war elephants. The battle was one of his hardest yet. The elephants frightened his soldiers, but Alexander won the difficult battle. He respected the brave Indian king. He allowed the king to keep his lands. Alexander admired true courage in others. Alexander wanted to march even further. He dreamed of conquering all of India, but his soldiers were exhausted and homesick. They had been fighting for many years. They had marched thousands of miles from home. They missed their families and their land. For the first time, his army refused. They would not go any further. Alexander was angry and deeply disappointed. He wanted to continue his great conquest. He tried hard to change their minds. But his loyal soldiers would not move. Finally, Alexander accepted their decision. He agreed to turn back at last. It was one of his few defeats, but this defeat came from his own men. The great conqueror had reached his limit. His long march east was over. Alexander began the long journey back, but the return was full of hardship. He led part of his army through a desert. It was a terrible and deadly choice. The burning desert had little water. Many soldiers suffered greatly. Sadly, many of his men died along the way. The desert was merciless and cruel. It was one of the darkest parts of the journey. Alexander shared in his soldiers' pain. The story says he refused special water. He would not drink while his men suffered. This showed his deep bond with his soldiers. He shared their hardships to the end. Finally, the survivors reached safety. The terrible desert march was over. But more sadness was waiting for Alexander. His journey was nearing its end. Alexander returned to the great city of Babylon. He planned even more conquests. But then Alexander suddenly became very ill. A terrible fever took hold of him. His health grew worse with each passing day. His loyal soldiers were deeply worried. The great conqueror lay weak in his bed. The mighty king could not fight this enemy. In 323 BCE, Alexander died. He was only 32 years old. The whole world was shocked by his death. The unstoppable king was finally gone. He had conquered a huge part of the world. Yet, he died very young. People still wonder what he could have done. His story ended far too soon. The legend of Alexander was now complete, but his empire faced an uncertain future. Alexander had built a vast empire, but he left no clear heir to rule it. He had no strong successor ready to lead. This created a huge and dangerous problem. His top generals wanted the power. They began to fight among themselves. The great empire was torn into pieces. Each general took a part for himself. The lands Alexander had united now split. His dream of one world faded away. Wars broke out between the old friends. The empire fell into chaos and conflict. The great empire did not survive as one. It broke into several separate kingdoms. Alexander's family also suffered greatly. Many of them were killed in the struggles. The empire he built with blood collapsed. It could not survive without him. Even though the empire fell, its legacy lived on. Alexander changed the world deeply. He spread Greek culture across many lands. This mixing of cultures had a huge effect. Greek language and ideas traveled far and wide. They reached lands that had never known them. This new blended culture is called Hellenistic. It combined Greek and Eastern ways. Art, science, and learning grew and spread. New ideas flowed between different peoples. Cities like Alexandria became centers of knowledge. Great thinkers gathered in these places. This exchange of ideas shaped the future. It influenced the world for centuries. Alexander's conquests connected distant lands. He brought different peoples closer together. This cultural legacy was truly powerful. It may be his greatest achievement of all. For thousands of years, people have studied Alexander. They see him in different ways. Many people call him a great hero. They admire his courage and brilliant mind. He was a genius on the battlefield. He never lost a single major battle. But others see a darker side to his story. His conquests caused great suffering. Many thousands of people died in his wars. Cities were destroyed and lands were burned. His ambition was powerful, but also dangerous. It brought both glory and destruction. So, was he a hero or a destroyer? People still debate this question today. The truth is that he was both. His story holds both greatness and tragedy. A complete history must show both sides. We must remember all parts of his story. The story of Alexander teaches us lessons. The first lesson is about ambition. Alexander dreamed big and aimed high. He teaches us the power of bold dreams. But his story also holds a warning. Endless ambition can lead to great suffering. The second lesson is about learning. Alexander loved knowledge and wisdom. He mixed courage with a brilliant mind. He was both a fighter and a thinker. The third lesson is about the cost of power. Great conquests came with a terrible price. We must weigh our dreams against their cost. Not every victory is worth the pain. The fourth lesson is that fame does not last forever. Even great empires can fall. The simple takeaway is this: dream boldly, but always remember the true cost of your dreams. Vocabulary, meanings and examples from the story. Empire. A large group of lands ruled by one power. Example. Before him stands the largest empire on earth. Kingdom. A country ruled by a king or queen. Example. He was born in the ancient kingdom of Macedonia. Philosopher. A person who studies deep ideas about life. Example. He was a brilliant Greek philosopher. Tame. To make a wild animal calm and gentle. Example. The horse seemed impossible to tame. Rebellion. A fight against a ruler or government. Example. He crushed any rebellions against him. Conquer. To take control of a place by force. Example. He wanted to conquer the mighty Persian Empire. Tactics. Clever plans used to win a battle. Example. Alexander used clever and daring tactics. Betrayed. Turned against someone who trusted you. Example. They betrayed Darius and took him prisoner. Culture. The customs and ways of life of a people. Example. He spread Greek culture across many lands. Successor. a person who takes over after another. Example, he had no strong successor ready to lead. Ambition, a strong desire to achieve great things. Example, his ambition was powerful but also dangerous. Legacy, something important left behind from a person's life. Example, this cultural legacy was truly powerful. Grammar tip, comparatives. Explanation, we use comparatives to compare two things. For short words, we add er. For longer words, we use more. We often use than after the comparative. Example 1. Persia was the largest empire, and it was bigger than Greece. Example 2. He wanted to conquer even more lands. Example 3. His power grew greater every day. A simple way to remember. Use er or more plus than when you compare two things. Alexander the Great was a truly remarkable figure. He was a bold king and a brilliant leader. He conquered the largest empire in the world. He did it all before the age of 33. But his story holds both glory and tragedy. His great dreams came with a heavy cost. So here is a question for you to think about. How far would you go to reach your greatest dream? If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, share it with a friend who needs to hear it, and comment below with one lesson you will carry with you. Subscribe to English via AI for more real stories that help you learn English, one journey at a time. Keep learning, keep building.